Okay. Alright, looks like we're live. Okay, my name is Nathan Hansen. This is my development stream. I make board games. If you're watching at all, you probably know that already. But yeah, so today though, usually on the stream what I do is I focus in on one game and maybe do play a little bit of the game and develop the individual game. But today I thought it might be a good idea to instead look at a couple games. I'm probably not going to put anything to play, but I want to talk about each of them and what I think is interesting about them and why I'm working on these games. You can go by. Okay. Yeah. So I have more games in this, obviously, but this is 6 that I thought would be a good choice to look at. So this one, which you can't see the title of right now, but it's called Last Flight of the Valkyrie, is a solitaire game where you are basically piloting a starship. Not really piloting, you're crewing a starship that is currently crashing onto a planet. Or sort of not crashing. It is crashing, but it's a valiant last-ditch effort in the battle kind of thing to get yeah. But the idea behind it, the inspiration for it is, if you watched what's the name of that damn show? It's gonna annoy me now. I think I have the game of it. Well, anyways, but there's a science fiction show where a Battlestar Galactica, the newer one. There's a scene in that show where the battleship jumps into atmosphere and it's falling, and here you see. Let me see my talking head. Okay, and while it's falling, it's fighting, and I kind of want to get that kind of a feeling in a game. So that's what that one's supposed to be. It's quite a ways off, but that's the inspiration and goal for that one. This one is a worker placement game where you use sand timers as your workers, and they get, basically when you place them somewhere, when the timer runs out, they actually accomplish the goal. And the theme of the game is you're building houses. So you're building houses in a neighborhood, and you're different contractors trying to get the most work done because you get paid better that way. But it's a really cool, innovative mechanic, using the stand timers for the workers. This one is no longer called this because I don't own the rights to that, but it was originally designed while I worked at Victory Point Games as sort of a sequel-ish, same universe as the Dawn of Zed's universe thing, but since I don't work there anymore, it's getting a slight retheme. But the idea is you are making a zombie. You're essentially causing the zombie apocalypse. You're making Patient Zero. So the new title is Making Patient Zero. Or the current working title, at least. And of course, I'll open each of these up and show a little bit more about them as I get into them, but I wanted to just go around and say what they are first. Spray and Pray is my attempt at a first-person shooter as a board game. So it's there's a lot of moving parts, and there's some pretty cool stuff in there. So I think people will like that. But there's a whole AI system and for how things move around. That you can allow for various types of gameplay. You can do capture the flags. You can do it's the whole everything here. And then it's not just roll dice to see what happens. It has a different conflict resolution mechanism that I haven't seen in another game. This one is The Devil's Own Day, which is a war game. I originally did it as you could probably indicate from the little text here, as a part of a design challenge. I was doing a game a week for several years ago. I didn't do the whole year. The goal was to do 52 games. I didn't finish. Life got in the way. But that was the challenge, and I did this. So I did this. This was a game I did originally in 1 week, and it's a Civil War battle. And it's a game I want to come back and revisit and probably look for a publisher to do rather than publish myself, because I would want to talk to a war game publisher specifically for it. But it's got a pretty cool mechanic I will show off in a minute. And then over here is my attempt at making some kind of train game. This one does not work yet. It is very, very early. This is just basically notes and some bits in a bag that I've pushed around, and it's got some cool ideas, and I want to talk about those ideas, but it's not one I could put on the table and play yet. So yeah, that is the overall of what we're going to talk about today. So let's see, I'll just go ahead and do them in order that I just talked about them in. So we'll start with the Last Flight of the Valkyrie. And go from there. Get these over to the side a little bit. Like I said, this one is intended to be a solitary game. It is not a particularly pretty game yet. Okay. There's a bunch of cards. Make sure they're all... Okay. So, I mean, at this point, the game is... This looks like a flowchart because it essentially is. Basically just this, I think this is a reworking of this. The cards in the deck. Yeah. So, I'm not going to play the game, but I want to talk about how it works. So you have various cubes that get placed on various locations. The yellow cubes indicate power. Red cubes indicate you put people there. You have some kind of crew that you've sent to that location to do a thing. So, and some things require multiple crew. So, yeah. The gray and the white cube here basically represent, one of them is you. I can't remember which one is, I guess it doesn't really matter. You start here, and the other one is a missile that's coming, that can come and hit you. So every once in a while, so it sort of like acts as a clock mechanism, because what you need to do is well, one, not die, which is what these cards have various things where if you don't do a thing, you die. So the basic sequence of the play is you reveal a card, you respond to the thing, or you die, and then you can do other things to try to move down. Moving this direction, I'm sure you can't see on camera because that is tiny. It's hard for me to see even up close. Here we go. But that's still kind of hard to see on camera. But these little hand-drawn little dice things are for basically what you have. They're in order to move. Well, there's various. It's been a long time since I looked at this game, but when you try to move, you have to resolve and beat those dice numbers. So in order to go this way, you have to beat a 6. So you have to get a 6. In order to come down, basically get closer to the planet or target, as it were, you have to beat a different number. It's easier to go down because gravity. But also as you're going down, it gets a little bit easier for the missile stuff. But the numbers in here indicate how many cards you actually draw. So it's not just do one thing. So at the start of the game, you're going to draw 4 cards. And I did not realize that I hit the talking head camera. Sorry about that. I don't know when I did that, so there we go. So numbers indicate how many cards you draw. The cards, these are for how hard it is to do various things to move forward. Going to the right makes so you draw less cards. Going down gets you closer to victory. The cards, currently they're all handmade, but they have stuff like this, and it's just you have to spend a shield. It's a list of things you have to do, and if you can't do any of the things, you lose the game. It's essentially the idea is, yeah. And you also have to avoid the missiles that are going to come in as well. So that's basically the gist of that game. And focus. Okay. So that's a game that's in the back burner that I will probably be having in more detail on this channel at some point. But yeah. It's called Last Flight of the Valkyrie. And you're flying the Valkyrie. I have no idea what this is going to look like visually. I personally kind of like the flowchart look of it, but I would want it to be a flowchart on like maybe a blueprint style visual. But it's not there yet. That's a way further along problem to solve. But yeah. And it doesn't really need to be a flowchart thing either. That's just a visualization of the sequence of these things for the most part. So these are all laid out in the order of this. So you have to spend a shield, or if you can't spend a shield, then you do the next, and like it literally is from the shield to the main power, or to so. But anyway, you put that one away and get the next one out. Okay. Alrighty. Alright, this is Worksite, which, as I mentioned, is basically has a little bit more art in this one. because it wasn't that hard to do. But basically, this is a worker placement game. Where are my other? Oh, they're right here. With up to 4 players. The cubes have different sizes. Ideally, these would be different shapes, not just cubes, but it's what I happen to have on hand. So the larger cubes, these 3 bags, represent different materials. Specifically, the gray cubes are concrete, the yellow cubes are lumber, red cubes are brick, and the black cubes are roof tiles. But also, since this is a where did that go? Oh, hang on. So, yeah. But because this is a worker placement game, and well, not because it's worker placement, the way the game works, it's a worker placement game, but it's also a area control game. So when you finish, so camel wants to jump up. So let's say I am able to build the thing here, and I have little things to indicate that this is the yellow guy. So you put it here, you wait for the timer to run out. As soon as the timer runs out, then you can put one of your cubes here, and for this spot requires, you only require 1 worker. If you were in a different spot and required 2 workers, you would do another timer, and when that timer finished, then you could do the thing also. And then you'd also need to spend a concrete from your own pool. So you'd have your own storage of concrete. The supply store is where you also send workers to get the materials. So you'd send a worker to get concrete in the first place. When it resolves, they get 2 concrete, 2 lumber, 1 brick, etc. Basically, it's a real-time game, if that wasn't clear from the timers. Once it gets going, players just put their sand timers out. They can pull them back early if they want to, but they can only resolve them if the timers finish. And then as soon as all of the buildings that are in the neighborhood are built, fully built, meaning all of the square spots have a cube of someone's color on them, then you resolve them all. And this is how scoring works, basically. Whoever is the most gets the highest number, whoever's the second gets the second number, and I'll bring that in close so you can see that. So, and third gets the last number. Ties are generous. No, I know, the word ties are mean. I can't remember what I decided on that, to be honest. I think I went with mean. So at least 1 influence. Yeah, they resolve lower. So if 2 people were tied for first, they would both get 3. So, right. So after you resolve that and you calculate everybody's score up, you also lose points for having extra resources in your resource pool. So if you aren't efficient with your getting supplies, it punishes you. That's basically the game. This one was basically impossible to show on a stream without other players, so I don't know how soon I'll be able to put this one on the table for that reason, but it is one I am working on, and it is one I want to talk about. So yeah, there is that game. Put it all away. And you'll notice my rule books have notes and chicken scratch all over them for when I'm changing things. So that's a normal thing that you should expect to do if you are ever designing a game. Okay. Okay, the next game. Formerly the lab of Dr. Martus. So now it is the making of Patient Zero. This one is not playable solitaire, so it may be a while before I can get it played on stream, but I can talk about it. So the basic idea, at least while it was themed as Dr. Martus, is you are monkeys who are the lab assistants of Dr. Martus. And this is based off the fact that one of the players you could play as in Dawn Zeds was this monkey, or not, chimpanzee, I guess is, and he was escaped from the lab, whatever. So the idea is most of the chimps are loyal to the doctor. One of them is not, so it's sort of a and that is, I'm spreading it where you can't see it. Okay. It's sort of a traitor game where the traitor's the good guy. So, because everybody's trying to make the zombie except for one person. In this case, it's Horatius because he was the hero he could play as in Dawn of Zeds. That's all going to change because again, it's no longer part of the Zeds universe. But basically the way the game works, there's a time track here. For now, I'm using cubes on different tracks. So these kind of start in at fresh. And you use the body parts of the creature you're making. And then there's these go in the start positions there. And there's one more cube. Okay. It goes here. You roll some dice. You place those dice here. They have not been resolved. And then there's various ways, I don't want to go full into the detail of the game, but so these cards represent resources you get that you can then use to resolve the dice and make progress on the various make progress on it. Which when you get all three of them down, then you move this down. It's closer to making the zombie. If there are various things, when this goes all the way around, this starts moving down, and the police may arrive and stop you. And of course, I have the camera not showing what I'm pointing at again. So this is the game winning you, or the traitor winning in this case, which is the good guy. This is you guys successfully making the first zombie. So as time's going around, it can land at different spots. It could land, if it lands in a spot that says something rots, then that body part rots. And then there's various things that happen when things become rotten. Essentially, it's the body part's no longer good for, it got too far, decomposed too much, and now you can't actually create the zombie with that part, so you have to replace the part. And it slows down the players. This is essentially the first player. Well, this is essentially the first player marker. That's it. What else? There are special powers in the game. They are not tied to the individual characters because that would tell you what characters you're playing. So instead, they're just separate cards as the different powers you can have. So you would get a card saying who you are, which is basically just traitor or not traitor. Except with a little more flavor because they get different art for different characters. And then you get a power card. Let's see what else. I think that's pretty much the gist of what this game is without going into actual playing the game. So yeah. Is there... Yeah. So yeah. There's the reason there's there's only one deck of cards really. It's the resource deck, but the mechanic is kind of it's similar to what's the name of that game? Something Hitler. Finding Hitler or something. Anyway. It's here somewhere. Hang on. Secret Hitler. It's a similar mechanic to Secret Hitler because it's a traitor game. So that when you resolve these or use a card that you can't resolve or prove that, you put one card here and you put some cards down here, and it kind of doesn't let the players know exactly what you can do, what you did. Because these cards are all both a resource and an event. So it might be a good idea to not resolve something, even if you are trying to get it done, because the event they would have to do is anyways. The idea is you draw multiple cards, you choose one to resolve, and then you don't do the other ones. They go in the event deck, and when events happen, they come from here. But it means that cards go from the resource deck to both of these piles. Yeah. So that was kind of a long-winded way to say that. But yeah. That is Making of Patient Zero. Things I know I want to change, or do differently rather. I don't want to use cubes. At least not this many cubes. Having some kind of marker for going around the time and for these two tracks here makes sense, but for the rotting body parts, I think I just want to get a stack of counters that you just or cards or something that you literally just remove the next card or next tile and it reveals the rotting, so it's more of a visual representation rather than a track. I think that would just look better and be just better table presence. So that's that. Let's get that put away so we can look at Spray and Pray. Okay. All right. Now, Spray and Pray. So, this one I think might excite some people. If they can get past the visuals at least. So there's a lot of various versions of stuff in here, so yeah. These are old, this is old. This hasn't been updated really since it started, so we'll keep one of those out. Okay. Keep these out. So, Spray and Pray. As I said, this is basically a first-person shooter, and these are not final components. This is very much so prototypey. Okay. So, these are this is a basic idea of a character sheet. So you have two basic sections to the sheet. Camera, stop moving on me. So the top part is a target area. Oh, the camera's just, what's happening? No. What? Okay, I'm not sure why that happened, but I don't know if you saw it on the stream, but my whole screen just went away. That was weird. I thought it was rebooting for some reason. It didn't though. Okay, so back to this. That was weird. Probably because I didn't touch the mouse in a while. Okay. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so the top part is a targeting area. So like I said, this is a first-person shooter. So what you do is if you're shooting at someone, you use these various cups based off what weapon you have or how far away you are, a combination of the two, and you put some sort of cube in it. Depending on the number of cubes, might depend on the weapon. Like if you're using a shotgun, I believe you put 3 cubes in it, if I remember correctly. But you put a cube in, shake it up, and got to make sure your line's flat. And that would be 3 points of damage because 3 corners are inside the silhouette. So then on the other person who you're shooting at, they would move their health down 3 points. That's basically the combat resolution system. If you're using a shotgun, you use the larger cup, and that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 points of damage. But there's also a cover system, which I can't show off because I don't have any of those bits, but the idea, I don't have those right now, or whatever, I'll find those later. I print out on transparency, and you put the transparency over these first, and it might be something like, it might be a wall, or a low-hanging sign, or whatever it is, and if the corners of the cubes are inside that transparency bit, it doesn't hit you because it's deflected. So yeah, that's basically the core of how that works. These are sort of an idea for how AI systems could work. Oh, I should talk about how the player moves around. So that's just when you actually just get to the point where you attack, you do that. But the way movement works, these are AI systems. Yep, these are AI systems. So this is the patrol deck. This is the pursuit deck. And then the players have these little decks. So it's sort of a... So they would, have their ammo they keep track of using 2 counters on this here. So they would say have, because this is on the 20 spot and this is on the 6 spot, they have 26 rounds of ammunition. They have to keep track of that when every time they fire. And they have their health, and they have armor. But their cards are for moving around. So you have, and this is similar to another game of mine, kind of, but basically you play 2 cards in a stack, and that's what you're going to do. Probably should put these out where the camera can see them, but then you have different functions. You can, and every player has the same deck of cards, but in every turn you play 2 cards, say that's what you're doing, and then after everybody moves, everyone has the option of firing. They don't have to, but they have the option at that point. So you could strafe forward left, which is basically just moving like so. So actually forward left, you do that one. You could crouch. There's going to be a strafe back left. There's going to be a strafe, both rights. And it's without changing your orientation, because it's called strafing. You can move forwards, you can move backwards. You can turn left or right, and you can turn 1 or 2 times based on. And then there's you can crouch, which is just change which of these you're using. I'd probably need to have 2 miniatures for that per player, so you'd have one that's a standing miniature and one that's a crouching miniature. Or if it's it could also be a double-sided counter, maybe, but that I think would be less intuitive. And there's a repeat last. So if you wanted to move left twice, you would strafe left and then repeat the last, strafe left again. Yeah. Yeah, so that's basically how that works. And then you would, the basic sequence of play of the game is you pick your 2 cards in the order, put them face down, and then you reveal them. Everybody does the thing that they revealed, and then if they have a shot, they can take it. And as I explained before, how shots work, you use the cups, try to hit the guy, and yeah, that's basically the way the game works. For a non-AI system, the AI system uses these cards and these cards depending on what state the AI is in. Patrol is basically just, it's gonna move from along points. So it does the thing. So if distance to obstacle, wait, that's not patrol. Oh, that's right. This is 2 different systems being represented here. I actually like. Well, this deck system it's sort of random. They're walking around, so if there's something less than 3 spaces in front of them, they'll move forward. Otherwise, they'll rotate right. Action, and they like you do 2 actions. So the first action is that. The second action is a distance obstacle. So you do that for action, resolve that, and then you resolve the next action. And that's where you do one card, resolve all the AI, all the patrol AI, and then the next card. Pursuit AI, also card based, and the pursuit AI I think is going to stay card based. The patrol AI may change to not be card based because I kind of like the idea of having it printed on the board, which is what this is trying to do. But this is target, so if they know how, so if they see you, once they've seen the player and they're trying to target you, you have to worry about the distance to the target and if you're in the cone of fire. Pull these down. Oh, my cameras came all loose. That's not good. Okay. No, camera, stay down. Alright. Oopsie. Alright. So, that's getting annoying. I'm not sure why that's coming loose. So if they're close enough, they'll move toward. So if they're too far away, in this case, if they're too far away, they'll move towards you. Else they'll strafe towards the target. So yeah. If they are distances, yeah. But yeah, basically they have similar types of movements, and these are designed to work around, to try to make them somewhat close to good ideas. Not, I mean, there's still a card-based AI system, and players will be able to game it because that's reality. But yeah, so the pursuit deck, where it is over here, patrol deck, they work similarly except which deck you're using at which time. So the patrol deck may not move towards you; it's just going to move around until it sees you. Pursuit deck will try to move towards you specifically. Yeah. And the idea of these is to possibly replace the patrol deck and make it so that, you know, you use a die system of like, hey, everything moves. If it's at a decision point, it'll move according to the die. So that's a red. So this was going to want to move that way. And it'll just follow the path until it gets to another decision point, and then you use that again. I haven't decided if I like that or not. It feels more like patrolling, whereas the current patrol deck feels more like a wander deck. So maybe I have 3 modes, depending on, you know, if they're on a patrol route, they'll continue the patrol route. If they're not, they will. If they see you, they will always go to pursuit. If they don't see you, but they're not on an actual route, they'll wander until they get on a patrol, and then they'll continue the patrol, something like that. But that's currently where it's at. Yeah. Anything else? I don't think so. Okay, so I'm going to put this one away so we can look at the next one. Yeah. There's a lot of parts to put away, unfortunately, so it might take a little longer than I would like, but we'll do that anyway. Different patrol decks. I think I had multiple. That's fine. Okay. Alright, now, next, this should be exciting for any wargamers out there, if they're any. So, alright, let me actually get this to where it is. Move that up a little bit. Cool. So this is basically the Battle Shadow. There's a lot of glitter on there. Sorry, guys. Let me just get all the stuff out. So this, again, no, this is the one I did as a design challenge for a 1-week game design. That includes all of the artwork that, granted, not that it's great artwork, but this was all done in 1 week, and I'm now looking back at it again to start shopping it around, and getting it finished and shopping it around. But basically, the way the game works, let me just, so, let me just get some of these out. There's no way you can see that on camera, but let me get a few things just the same so I can explain it all. So, bringing it nice and close enough to hold it. Focus, please. There we go. There, it's focused a little bit. Okay, so these pieces are all double-sided, and this is actually a so the arrow at the front indicates that this piece is currently moving. The numbers inside these hexes here, so the middle hex is your current location. It has a it's this hex. The middle hex is that hex. The numbers on the other hexes are the relative strength of that unit in those hexes. So it's how much strength they're projecting. And this is, yeah. And the little icon here is indicates what kind of unit this is. So this is a artillery unit, which means it's actually something you want to use like so, ideally, and allows you to target a little further out. So they could hit any of these spots and apply strength there, but when it's on this side, it's literally just the guys that are guarding, who are walking with it while they're moving the artillery, because it's not set up to use at that point. Yeah, that's that one. Another example, that's also an artillery. I didn't mean to grab an artillery. There's an example of an infantry. So when it's moving forward, it has a strength of 4. If you can see that number, it's tiny down here. And basically has no strength anywhere else because it's just charging forward. When it's standing still, its strength directly forward goes down a little bit, but it's also adding some strength here as it's holding a front. And see if I can find something, a cavalry. There's cavalry. And again, strongest, strength 3 in the front. And the units are all a little bit different. I tried to make them actually match the strength of the historical units as best I could. The strength number is actually how much damage they can take as well as how much, but anyways. But the core idea behind this is when a unit's moving versus when it's not moving has different strength. And over here is a section of the board that is for essentially the game phase. So I don't know where the marker for that is specifically, but it doesn't really. Oh, here they are. Camera's not gonna stay where I want it. Okay. Current phase marker. Not that it matters, it could be literally anything, but it's a current phase marker. So in phase 1, all cavalry units will move. So the basic sequence of the game is you will give orders to your units, which is basically placing these tokens out on units to decide what they're doing. They get placed face down and get revealed, so you don't know necessarily what they're doing until they get revealed. But so you do that. Every phase consists of doing that and then phase. Anything that is currently moving, so anything that is currently on its movement side that has a matching icon will move. So in phase 1, all cavalry will move. In phase 2, all cavalry and all infantry will move. Phase 3, all 3 move. Phase 4 is just the reinforcements, and so it's the road. So anything that's on a road, which is indicated by that blue icon there, which you cannot possibly see from that distance. So there's a little blue icon. So if you're facing that way towards a blue icon, you will move in the move phase. Doesn't matter what kind of unit you are. So +1 movement to any movement on a road. So that happens during the roads phase, but also reinforcements happens. So anything that's in the reinforcement track will move down 1 space. Anything that gets to 1 comes out onto the board and you can place it. Anything that's in the 1 space you'll be able to place, then you move everything down, and then that's that. Phase 5 is just a cleanup phase. You're not going to give orders in that phase. It's a refreshing and get your stuff back phase, because you can only use charge. There's certain orders of certain of these orders that you can only use once, and you get them back in that phase. Yeah, that's a lot of that. There's a relative morale marker. So you don't have to completely kill everyone to win. If you have a steamrolling, every time you kill a unit, this is going to move one way or the other. There's a couple other things you can do too, but basically this gets moved based off your player's actions. If it gets all the way to one side or the other, they rout, they run, the battle is won. This represents the overall morale of the entire army, relative to each other. It's not so much my morale is dropped, it's my morale compared to your morale. Yeah, okay. What else? There are... So, let's see. Yeah, that's basically it. There are some other nuances. These red little markers are just to indicate that you've been hurt. The black markers here, they're similar. You put them on a thing to indicate that they're trying to move. So when you're trying to move, the black dots on here, which are impossible to see that distance, indicate that you're moving into rough terrain. So the way I'm simulating that is, in order to move into this space, you need to have at least one black dot on you here. So once you have one, you can go that way, you remove it. If you were going this way, you would need two. So you would take two full moves, and then the third move you would move. And this was really rough terrain, so there's a lot of those in this particular map. But yeah, that is the core idea. I like that system because it allows for things like this, where it's easier to move this way than it is to move this way. Because in this case, you're literally moving from a field. It's really hard to move from the field over the fence and into the rough terrain than it is to go from the rough terrain into the field. You still have to cross the fence, so it's still got something. But yeah. Let's see. Anything else on this one before I move on? Oh, there are various generals. You know, it is a war game. That's a delayed marker. That's the killed marker. That's not the generals. Oopsie. But there are generals in the game, and basically they have their own ranges. So when you're giving orders, you can give an order. Your generals can give orders within their range. So yeah, there's no way you could see that. You get nice and close. So you see there's range on some of them. I can't even read that on here. I definitely need to make this bigger for a final copy. But anyway, so this general can give 2 orders himself, and within range of 2. So anything within range of 2 of him, he can give an order. He can give 2 orders to. Yeah. So basically, the way that works is, for the standard phase, you're going to give 2 orders, but you could make your order to be, okay, I want this general to give 2 orders, and then he would give each 2 orders within his range. Or you can always just issue an order to a unit by itself, and then, but by using a general, you can be a little more efficient. That's the idea, at least. And what the range is supposed to represent, and the reason why it's less orders if you're doing distance, because they didn't have radios. They didn't have, it was literally send a writer out to tell them to do stuff. So you could send a writer out to tell the general to do something, and he could use a little bit of his own ability to give 2 orders rather than 1, or you can send a writer out to an individual unit and give orders to them. It wasn't, the battles weren't as it wasn't like you could call in, well, the communication just wasn't there. It couldn't be because the technology didn't exist yet. So that's what that's supposed to try to represent and cover. I'm not sure how good of a job that is, but there we are. But yeah, I think that's it for this one. This is one I want to talk to publishers for, and I do want the board to be significantly larger. Just because that allows the hexes to be bigger, it allows the units to be bigger, which allows it to be easier to read, which I'm struggling to read these, and I'm sure that a lot of other players would as well. But that's the size it had to be for the constraints I was working with when I made this design. mostly due to cost because I was getting this made on the Game Crafter, and that's expensive. So, but that's that one. Let me put it away. Alright. This is a weird bag. Okay, this might take a minute to put away, so I apologize for downtime. Don't want to risk losing any bits though, so. Okay, everything is back in there, but I have a bunch of empty bags, so I'm not sure how that happened. We'll deal with it later. Okay. This is the last game we're going to discuss. It is the least playable, but it's it's not playable. This is just me. I really want to make a train game, and this is just me having all of my ideas for train games in one location, as it were. So, this is a just a modular board. So, basic terrain, rough terrain, rough, so the cost would be a little higher to build there, impassable, or maybe even, yeah. And this is just me playing with ideas of, so, yay, put some stuff out, make some kind of map. Anywhere you don't put a tile is off board for one reason or the other. It could be because it's ocean, could be because it's just the edge of what you're allowing for. It doesn't really matter. This is the really cool part, well, one of the cool parts. Instead of having, which obviously you cannot see, I really need to have this camera stay at a better height. But instead of having it be like in 18XX games where they have the individual tiles with every, and you need every possible combination, I'm just layering them so I can get whatever combinations I need. So that is a viable combination. I have basically 3 types. That's all it takes. And you can do every conceivable type of track there is. It's just you need to just lay it on top. I probably would have some sort of rule where it's, so like, I just think that's cool. I probably would have some sort of rule in the game where, you can only place up to 3 or 4 tiles high, or like, maybe like in, like maybe, I know in 18XX games it gets to certain tiles get introduced later. It could be something like, well, now maybe the limit goes up, so at the beginning of the game you can have up to 2 tiles on a hex. By the end you get up to 4, kind of thing. So that's how you get the complexity goes up over time rather than. But I just like the idea of the layering. It just looks cool. So, and you can do literally any combination you could think of with it that way. So, that's whatever it's gonna do. These are just notes on stuff I want to do. So, like I said, this is not playable yet. This is just me playing with the ideas. But these are sort of trains. So let's just do something just for sure. Just for the sake of having something. So there's two types of trains that I'm thinking of. Of course, I don't have any cubes on me, but there's cargo trains, and they don't move like. And I want it to be more pick up delivered, not like. I don't want it to be like 18xx where it's you do the whole track in there. I want to actually have the trains moving around, and so there'll be a phase when the trains move, and they would get to a location and pick stuff up or drop things off, etc. But there's two kinds of trains. There are cargo trains that will carry cubes, and there are passenger trains that can carry passengers, and that's what these are, passengers. So they gonna go in the thing, and then when you get to a white station, which I don't have any stations or anything here yet, because of course I don't. Like I said, this is not playable yet. Then you could drop off and collect money, and after like a certain number of those rounds, then you could do the payouts. So you'd see how much you have to calculate how much a set of trains made between payout rounds, and then you would do the payouts. Is kind of the idea. But I want to make it so there's going to be two kinds of trains. So you could kind of focus if you wanted to on one type of business or another. You could maybe even have mixed trains. So maybe you have some trains that are a cargo and two passengers, or this could be varied up a little bit. But yeah, that's sort of the idea. Yeah. But yeah, this is very much inspired by 18xx, but me trying to do my own twist and take on it. Let me see if there's anything that stands out in my notes I should talk about. Yeah, so, but yeah, I want it to be a game where it's not just about the trains. It's I mean, that's clearly the focus, but it's more of an industry building concept. I don't, because each of the colors represent some, in the case of the passengers, it's a location they want to go to. They want to go to a, the white passengers means they want to go to a white city location. So they might peer randomly different locations, and they want to go to a given location. The cargo would probably function somewhat similarly, but I want it to be a little more player. Like there's certain locations that will just produce a resource, and the players could own those potentially. So. Yeah. So maybe cargo doesn't sell for as much as passengers, but because you can also own the businesses that produce it, and maybe they're more consistent. I don't know. It's all ideas I have to play with, but that's sort of the ideas I'm playing with. Yeah. So that's that game. There is no name for this yet. It's just my train game ideas, I guess. Yeah. But, yep, that's that. But I do just really like the idea of this. And I don't know why no one's done this. It feels obvious to me. Like, it's weird that no one has done this. Because it's just... Yeah. If someone has done this, I'm unaware of it. Please let me know. I would like to try that. That's the train game. Put these away. That is all of the games I particularly wanted to talk about. Put everything back in the bags. Try not to lose anything. The only other thing I could talk about is getting back to some of the games I've had in the stream before. So I've been working on. Oh, it's not down here. Oh, there it is. So I think Watson, which I'm not going to put on the table right now, but so this is my Sherlock Holmes game, which I think is mechanically where I want it to be. But now it's time, which means it's time to start doing the research, and I'm going to try to do a lot of reading. These are all the canonical Sherlock Holmes stories, so everything that was actually written by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. And I'm going to try to read through all of this and do a scenario hopefully every 2 weeks at least. There are 60 scenarios, so that's still like close to 2 years if I did it that way. Hopefully I can do it faster than that. But that is the front burner project, is still Think Watson. And I now have the research material, so I can start pumping through those. So, yeah. I'm not sure how fast I can read the books, but it's also, I don't have, not just read them, but yeah, come on. It's not just reading the books. It's taking good, copious notes and getting all the details I need to get to make sure that the scenarios cover everything and also work. But yeah, there are 60 cases covered in these 6 books, so it'll be great to have at the end. But that's where we're at. Yeah, so hopefully next week I'll have more than one scenario. So right now I have the Study in Scarlet and scenario. The next, in the same book, he has the Sign of the Four. So maybe I'll try to have the Sign of the Four as a scenario next week or the week after. We'll find out. Anyway, that's pretty much it. I'm going to call that the stream.